Howard gets it in, but it's knocked away by Lexie Hull. Hull with the steal. And the Indiana Fever, beset by major injuries all year long, are on the doorstep of making the semifinals.
Let's call this what it was, a gut check challenge. Win or go home. 6 players down, furious over officiating controversies, and no margin for error, the Indiana Fever had to either rise or fold. And in Game 3 of the WNBA Playoffs against the Atlanta Dream, they rose. Kelsey Mitchell attacked late, Aliyah Boston battled in the paint, and Lexie Hull delivered the play of her life. And together, they pushed the Fever into the semifinals for the first time since 2015. So now the question is, was this just a one-time spark, or the moment that cements the Fever's rise for years to come? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's give the Fever their flowers. Let's go.
We've just been through so much this season, giving ourselves another chance in Game 3. Emotions are high.
This is a group that's confidence has really never wavered. This group has continued to show their heart, their character, night in and night out.
I think we all piggyback off each other within our group and our organization.
We've been in every kind of situation you can imagine, and we've been able to find ways to put ourselves in position to win, and this will be no different.
Somebody has to lose and somebody has to win.
Imagine nearly 10 years with no playoff series win. That kind of drought doesn't just live on a stat sheet. It sits heavy on a franchise, its fans, and every player who puts on the jersey. The last time the Indiana Fever advanced this far, Tamika Catchings was still the heart of the team, Natasha Howard was just starting her career, and Stephanie White was in her first stint as head coach. That was 2015, and the WNBA looked completely different. Fast forward to now, and the Fever walked into Game 3 carrying all of that history on their backs. A night that wasn't just about basketball, but about finally answering the test of time.
We talked about the desperation before Game 2 on Tuesday. Just how does that carry over into tonight?
Well, I think anytime that you're a win or go home situation, there's desperation. And so it has to carry over. You know, we're in the same situation. Our back is against the wall. We got to come out and we've got to play with that sense of urgency. We've got to play with that hunger. We've got to value every single possession and every single opportunity.
What made the moment even more pressing was the state of their roster. Caitlin Clark sidelined, Sophie Cunningham out, Sydney Colson unavailable, Chloe BBY, Ari McDonald, and Dyrus Dantas all on the injury list. That's a massive chunk of experience and scoring power stripped away. Suddenly, this wasn't just another playoff night. It was win or go home with a group forced to stretch every ounce of talent and chemistry just to survive. No one outside that locker room was betting on them. But in a way, that vacuum of expectation became their secret weapon. With nothing left to lose, they had no choice but to fight.
Now, this one on Lexie Hull got me riled up because this was early on in the game, and this was probably the best defense that Lexie could have played. If you watch this play here, Ryan Howard is going down, Lexie Hull's guarding her, Ryan goes behind her back, Lexie doesn't touch her because she's backpedaling the whole time, she has her hands straight up. Like, this is really good defense that Lexie played here.
And remember how Game 1 went down? A parade of phantom whistles, momentum-killing calls, and even a technical foul on their coach. The frustration in that building wasn't just visible, it was glaring, even through the television screen. Those players didn't forget. They carried that bitterness with them, flipping it into fuel, and Game 3 became about more than survival. It was about restoring their name after being robbed of a fair shot just nights earlier.
Indiana Fever are heading to the semifinals.
Driving to the foul line and the paint, lays it in. Sims crossover left to right, gets into the paint, layup, good.
Inside, Boston.
Pre-game interviews told the story before a single basket was made. Kelsey Mitchell looked calm and locked in, as if she already knew she'd have to shoulder the scoring load. Aliyah Boston spoke quietly but carried a contagious confidence, ready for an inside battle she couldn't avoid. On the other side, Atlanta came in fully healthy, fueled by home court momentum, with a crowd at Gateway Center Arena eager to end the Fever's run on the spot. But Indiana wasn't just staring down the dream. They were facing a decade of frustration, 6 critical injuries, and the weight of doubt that they couldn't break through. And in that storm, they made their choice: fight over fear. Which leaves the question: could single moments from individual players finally turn all those years of waiting into a brand new story?
to Jones. Throws it up.
No good! Game over! And the Fever are moving on!
The Fever found themselves in the kind of moment that defines entire seasons. Down late in Game 3, with just under 4,000 Atlanta fans shaking the arena, every possession felt heavier than the last. A season's worth of fights, injuries, and doubts funneled into those final minutes, while the crowd tried to drag Indiana into silence. But the Fever didn't fold. They leaned on the players who had carried them all year, and one by one, each stepped into the fire.
Just picked up her second foul, so Hillman and Gray each with 2. Mitchell over the Boston screen.
And that was tough, her hands. But going back to that ball screen here, little movement in the first part of that screen by Aliyah Boston.
Mitchell, man,
she is so good.
Kelsey Mitchell was the steady pulse that kept Indiana alive. Atlanta threw everything at her, crowding the paint, sending extra defenders, trying to choke off her rhythm. Still, Mitchell dropped 24 points, with 19 coming before halftime. That early burst was the lifeline that kept the Fever afloat on the road. And when the Dream tightened the clamps, she didn't fade. She shifted gears, finding teammates, contesting shots, doing whatever it took to stop momentum from slipping away. Scoring under that kind of pressure isn't supposed to be easy, but Mitchell's refusal to back down became the fuel her teammates fed on.
attacking from the outside and now the inside. And Mitchell's been quiet for a while. Not anymore. Mitchell over to Boston. Again, the shot clock winding down. Mitchell, tough shot off the bounce to get around Jones.
2 steps behind the three-point line and the dribble handoff for Kelsey Mitchell.
Inside the paint, Aliyah Boston was carving her own narrative. Matched against Bree Jones, she absorbed hit after hit in the low post without ever losing her composure. On paper, Jones had the size edge, but Boston erased it with timing, positioning, and the savvy to seal her defender before the battle even began. Every rebound, every box out, every finish through contact felt like a statement that Indiana's backbone wasn't bending, no matter how bruising the matchup became.
This is just 4 of 16 from the floor in game 2. That's terrific. Paul into Boston.
Beautiful read.
14 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and even that stat line only scratches the surface of what Aliyah Boston meant in this game. Every rebound came in traffic, ripped away from bigger bodies. Every assist nudged Indiana toward one more shot they desperately needed. She wasn't just holding her own. She was showing poise well beyond her years, anchoring the middle of an undersized, undermanned lineup and proving that the Fever's foundation is already built on championship steel.
For Atlanta has not been good. 40%. Maybe a little higher than that, 45.
Indiana electing not to call a timeout. Boston almost gave it away. Into Boston for the lead. She hits it. Indiana goes up.
Boston gets it. Mitchell is denied, but then Jordan Canada falls. Bree Jones almost gets it, but that's a second defender that's gone down, and Bree Jones.
Then there was Natasha Howard, whose value doesn't need flash to shine. Her hustle created possessions that shouldn't have existed. Loose balls that looked destined for the Dream's guard somehow ended up back in Indiana's hands because of Howard's reach and relentless energy. She was the extra heartbeat in every scramble, the reason the Fever kept finding second chances when they needed them most.
That Aliyah Boston has to really body up with Bree Jones in that situation.
Natasha Howard slashing in. Sims got around the Ryan Howard reach to find Natasha Howard.
The court, Odyssey Sims, has 7 points, 3 assists. She's looking to attack.
Odyssey Sims brought something different, an aggression Atlanta couldn't fully contain. She drove straight at defenders, absorbing contact, knowing every burst into the lane had the power to swing momentum. Her 16 points and 8 assists, especially from someone who hadn't been with the roster all season, spoke volumes about her adaptability and instant leadership. In a game where Indiana needed composure in hostile territory, Sims delivered both grit and creativity.
A complete skill set in all that she can do.
It's the first miss for Atlanta as Howard could not get it to go. Odyssey Sims, this is what head coach Stephanie White wants from Odyssey. Ray with 10 points so far. Sims dribbled right into trouble and was able to score and get fouled.
And you can't overlook Brianna Turner. She may not have been a regular in every rotation during the season, but in this game she was indispensable, blocking lanes, contesting shots, and reading plays before they even developed. When fatigue and foul trouble threatened to crack Indiana's rotations, Turner stepped in and gave the Fever a backbone. Her reputation as a pro who stays ready came alive in this moment. She did it all without demanding touches, and that selflessness allowed her teammates to shine even brighter.
Reiner posting up, setting a screen ultimately that Shea Penny ran into.
Anytime Atlanta needs a bucket, they look to her, and she's wanting the ball as well with the last score for Atlanta.
Aerial Powers was the spark plug. Her minutes were limited, but every stretch she played shifted Indiana's energy. She dove on the floor, fought through screens, and pushed the pace on both ends. That hustle doesn't always show up in a box score, but it was impossible to miss. The moment she checked in, teammates defended louder, the bench got more animated, and suddenly momentum felt sturdier. Powers raised the Fever's intensity simply by refusing to coast through a single possession.
Another one of the signees because of injuries in the game. As we approach a minute to go, Aerial Powers in.
The bench.
All the injured players to not just cheerlead, but also to give advice to all the newbies. Big block by Powers.
Good help side by Aerial Powers.
Possession by possession, Indiana clawed back into the game, answering Gateway Center Arena's roar with focus, digging into stops and scraping out points from every angle, proving this wasn't about one superstar but about heart, playmaking, defense, and grit across the roster. And just when it seemed the outcome would hinge on a single possession, the stage belonged to Lexie Hull, who had struggled all night as shots rimmed out. Open looks betrayed her, and frustration mounted, yet she kept grinding on defense, refusing to disappear, and in that persistence, waiting for her chance, she found herself with the ball in her hands and history in her grasp. With under 30 seconds left, all the frustration of Lexie Hull's tough shooting night had a chance to vanish as the Fever trailed by a single point and every second of the shot clock felt heavy. Kelsey Mitchell cut to the rim with her trademark burst and, off an Aliyah Boston assist, finished a layup to make it a one-possession game. The dream answered, but Indiana refused to fold, and on the next trip, after crisp ball movement, Hull found herself open once more. This time she buried the three, not just a shot but a breath of life that carried hope into the final stretch.
26% in the first two games.
Good help by Alicia Gray there on Howard.
Hull.
But the game was still far from over, with Atlanta setting up for an inbound play and just 7.4 seconds left, their entire season hanging on that one possession. One clean pass, one good look, and the dream could have stolen everything Indiana fought for. Everyone in the arena expected the ball to land safely in Atlanta's hands, but in a split-second Hull saw it differently. Reading her defender's eyes, anticipating the angle, she lunged without hesitation and snatched the ball clean out of the air for a game-saving steal.
A high ball screen has worked for Kelsey Mitchell, but that time, she gives it up to Hull. And how about that shot by Lexie Hull?
That single play changed everything. Suddenly the Fever weren't just clinging to survival, they were charging into the WNBA Semifinals for the first time since 2015. Odyssey Sims iced it with a free throw, but it was Hull's steal that fans will never forget. What looked like a wasted night shooting turned into the defining moment of the series, a play that embodied the Fever's entire season. No excuses, no matter the struggle. You might not score, you might fight through frustration, but when your team needs you, you deliver, and that's exactly what Hull did. Her steal will forever be tied to ending a decade-long drought, and from that swipe to the eruption that followed, Indiana was finally back.
Howard gets it in, but it's knocked away by Lexie Hull. Hull with the steal. And the Indiana Fever, beset by major injuries all year long, are on the doorstep of making the semifinals.
Picture the Indiana Fever locker room after that final buzzer. 10 years of waiting, 10 years of questions, and all that quiet frustration finally shattered. Players who had endured the scars of losing seasons were grinning like kids again. Kelsey Mitchell was among the first to wrap her teammates in a tight embrace, her face lit with pure relief and joy. Aliyah Boston sat still for a moment, tears in her eyes as the weight of history sank in. Lexie Hull, the hero with the steal, clutched the game ball like it was treasure, flashing it proudly to every camera in sight. For Brianna Turner and Odyssey Sims, veterans who had journeyed through multiple rosters, this wasn't just another win. It was proof their fight mattered, their minutes held weight, and together they had shifted the course of an entire season.
Indiana Fever are heading to the semifinals of the WNBA for the first time in 10 years. Kelsey Mitchell said, all that we've got, and we have all that we need. Cobbling together this roster, and here they are, about to be in the Final Four.
What you thought was impossible is possible. A team that has been devastated by injury, rallying on the road. One more time.
Even Caitlin Clark, sidelined by injury, was right in the heart of it, spending the night waving towels, shouting encouragement, and pouring herself into every possession from the bench. After the game, she blasted out a post in all caps, "Fever Show" with hearts and team colors, a perfect snapshot of how unified this group had become. Every player, whether suited up or not, left fingerprints on the win. The locker room didn't look like a team celebrating a lucky break. It looked like a family that had earned every second. Still, joy couldn't erase reality. Head coach Stephanie White reminded them this was only step one, because waiting on the other side are the Las Vegas Aces, Aya Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, and a championship roster stacked with depth and experience. To make it clearer, Aces coach Becky Hammon fired off a warning of her own, saying the Fever haven't even seen the real Aces yet. With a best of 5 ahead, Indiana will have to weather adjustments, long runs, and the grind of facing a team built to punish every mistake.
Y'all are a tough bunch of. I mean, I cannot even put into words how proud I am. It's like the toughness that it takes, like the gut checks that it takes. Like, y'all, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we've been through all of it, right? So it doesn't matter the circumstance, it doesn't matter the score, it doesn't matter the time. You always put your best foot forward. You always get to the next play, and it's always someone different.
Indiana knows exactly what awaits them. They battled through 6 injuries, tough whistles, and elimination pressure, and now they face the ultimate test, the Las Vegas Aces, the standard every team measures themselves against. But Indiana's win was bigger than just advancing. It was the rebirth of a franchise that had waited nearly a decade for a playoff breakthrough. 10 years of frustration ended with a team that refused to fold, even shorthanded. The Fever showed that toughness and belief can overcome obstacles that should have broken them. Now they march into the semifinals against Becky Hammon's Aces, who've already warned that Indiana hasn't seen their real form yet. But for tonight, the Fever proved that resilience, fight, and faith can rewrite history. Let us know in the comments how proud you are of the Indiana Fever, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.